Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at a few easy tips to help you better utilize Microsoft Teams and keep everything you need organized and easily accessible. Now, Teams is super handy and organized already, but there are a few simple practices you can implement that will save you so much time and help improve your productivity. Tip number 1, adding a SharePoint site. As we've covered in a previous video, Teams and SharePoint are integrated. So every time you create a new team or channel, a corresponding folder will be created in SharePoint. This is where all the files you upload to Teams will be stored. However, if your organization already has a team site with document libraries, then this can get confusing, as you end up with different copies of the same file stored in multiple locations. Instead, you can add a SharePoint tab that will give your entire channel quick and easy access to your organization's SharePoint site. Simply click on the plus sign up above to open the Add a Tab window. There are a few options. We could add a SharePoint page, document library, or entire site. Today we want to add the whole site, so let's click on that option. Depending on what security measures your organization has in place, you may get a request for additional login details for verification. So I'll just quickly do that. So now we have a few options. You can either add content from the SharePoint site associated with this team, or from any other SharePoint site you have access to. To add an external site, all you need to do is copy the web link and paste it in here. But let's just jump back to our marketing SharePoint option here. We can see a few content options down below, including recommended content, pages, lists, and document libraries. For now, let's go with recommendations and add the home page of the SharePoint site. Click on Save, and you'll see up the top that the tab for the home page of the SharePoint site has been added to the channel. Now, this is a test site which is currently in development, so that's why it's currently blank, but you get the idea. Anyone in this channel now has quick and easy access to the homepage of this SharePoint site, including news, activity, and links. It's all just a click away. Tip number 2, creating tasks. Keeping track of your tasks can feel overwhelming, but keeping track of a whole team's tasks can feel impossible. Thankfully, you can seamlessly create, assign, and track complex tasks and projects using Teams. Let's begin by clicking on the ellipses found in your Teams navigation bar. Choose the Task by Planner and To-Do app from the options. You can use the menu on the left to navigate your tasks. Up the top, you'll find your tasks, the ones you've created and the ones assigned to you by someone else. Down the bottom, you'll find the tasks assigned to specific teams and channels. To create a new task plan, click on the plus sign next to New List or Plan. Simply fill in the details by giving the plan a name and, using the drop-down menus, select the team and channel you'd like to assign to it. Once you've finished, click Create. As you can see, we now have a plan we can add tasks to. Board view is usually the preferred view for most teams, but you can choose to view the tasks in a list, chart, or schedule view, but more on that later. As you can see, the default bucket is labeled To Do, but you can rename it to whatever you wish by clicking on the ellipses next to the name and choosing Rename from the options. To add a new bucket, just click on Add New Bucket and type in the desired name. You can do this as many times as you want. You can add tasks to the buckets by clicking on Add Task. Fill in the basic details like the name, due date, and assign a member to it. You can add further details including the priority level, notes, checklist, or even include an attachment. Once you're done filling all that out, click on the X to close the task. It will save automatically. You can even click and drag the task to move it between buckets. Now, board view can be organized in any way you want. Some teams may choose to have different buckets for different projects and have the task grouped that way. Others may like to chart progress by having a To-Do, In Progress, and Complete bucket. Now, the last thing we're going to look at are the different view options in more depth. The list view is a great way to scan all your tasks at once and gauge their priority. The schedule view, however, places all your tasks in a calendar so you can quickly check which deadlines are approaching. Lastly, the chart view allows you to track your team's progress, as it shows your task's overall progress and status in real time. Tip number 3, approvals. Are you tired of badgering your coworkers for signatures or waiting on a sign-off from your boss? Then you should start using approvals. Approvals consolidates all of your requests into one hub. To request an approval, click on the ellipsis on your Teams navigation bar and select the Approvals app. Next, click on the New Approval Request button. You can select a basic request form, or if you're chasing a signature on a document, your organization may choose to set up an e-signature account with either DocuSign or Adobe Sign. You can also create approval templates to save time in the future. For now, let's just choose the basic request option. Now we're going to fill in the details, including who we need to approve this request, the priority level, and any message you want to send with the request. If your approval requires documents or other files, you can attach them by clicking here. From the drop-down menu, you can choose whether to upload the file from your device or OneDrive, or if it's an online file, you also have the option to attach the web link. Once you've finished, click Send. The nominated approvers will be sent the request via chat, where they'll be able to view, approve, or reject the request. You can check on the status of your request at any time in the Approvals app. If you've been waiting for a response for a while, you can click on the request and choose the follow-up option. This just reminds the person that you're still waiting for an answer. Tip number 4, bookmarking messages. Are you struggling to keep on top of your Microsoft Teams messages? Are important communications slipping through the cracks? Well, here's a tip to help you save important messages for future reference. Bookmarking allows you to save a message so you can easily access it whenever you want, no matter how buried in your chat it may be. For instance, let's say I don't have time at the moment to complete this request, but I want to come back to it later without having to scroll through my messages to find it. All I have to do is hover the mouse over the message and click on the ellipsis that appears. Next, I'll select Save this message from the options. Now that the message is bookmarked, I can access the message from anywhere in Teams. So let's go to one of my channels to demonstrate. Now, to find the message, all I have to do is enter /saved into the search bar, and that will take me to my saved list. Your saved list will appear here on the left-hand side, and over here we can see the full message in the chat. To remove something from your saved list, all you have to do is deselect the bookmark icon here. Tip number 5, pop-out apps. One of the greatest features of Microsoft Teams is just how many apps are integrated into the platform. However, one of the problems this creates is having to jump between them. So let's say I was checking on tasks, while also replying to messages and trying to add events to my calendar. To do this, I'd have to be constantly clicking between the icons. However, rather than doing that, you can now simply pop out your applications into separate windows. For example, I'm in the Tasks app currently and I'd like to open a channel at the same time. If I right-click on the task icon in the navigation bar, I can choose to pop out the app. This will open the Task app as a separate window, allowing me to keep it open while still navigating the rest of Microsoft Teams. So, I could engage with my colleagues while still having easy access to my tasks over here. I can also move the window around and expand it, minimize it, and close it once I'm finished. That's it for today's video. Hopefully some of these tips will be helpful for you. Let us know in the comments what other questions you have about Microsoft Teams or any other Microsoft Office 365 applications you'd like us to explore.